Welcome to Creepy, the best horror storyteller on YouTube.
Part 1. The Haunting Begins.
In a small, secluded town nestled among dense woods stood an ancient estate known as Ravenwood Manor. The estate had a history veiled in mystery, whispered rumors of inexplicable occurrences, and dark secrets that lingered within its walls. The air around Ravenwood Manor always felt heavy, ominous, and charged with an eerie energy, as if the very atmosphere were teeming with untold stories. The protagonist, a young woman named Lydia Hawthorne, was a curious soul with an insatiable thirst for the unknown. Lydia was drawn to the inexplicable, fascinated by the supernatural, and intrigued by the haunted tales that surrounded Ravenwood Manor. She had heard the whispered stories, the chilling accounts of apparitions wandering the halls, and the anguished cries that echoed through the night. Despite the warnings of locals who spoke of the cursed estate, Lydia found herself irresistibly drawn to explore the secrets that Ravenwood Manor held within its ancient walls. One moonless night, driven by a mixture of curiosity and daring, Lydia decided to embark on an expedition to uncover the truth behind the haunting whispers. She slipped out of her home, the comforting warmth of familiarity, and ventured into the moonlit night. The path to Ravenwood Manor was shrouded in darkness, the forest canopy overhead casting eerie shadows upon the winding road. As she approached the looming silhouette of the manor, an unsettling sensation crept over her, sending shivers down her spine. The once grand estate now stood dilapidated and forlorn, its windows boarded up, and ivy crawling up its weathered walls. Ignoring the palpable sense of foreboding that gripped her, Lydia pushed open the creaking iron gate and stepped onto the overgrown path leading to the manor's entrance. The door, swollen with age and neglect, protested as Lydia pushed it open with a trembling hand. The foyer greeted her with an oppressive silence, broken only by the faint sound of her own footsteps echoing through the empty halls. Moonlight filtered through the cracked windows, casting ghostly beams across the dust-laden floor. Lydia's heart raced with a mixture of trepidation and excitement as she wandered further into the mansion's depths. Each step seemed to reverberate in the stillness, and the air grew colder, as if an unseen presence was watching her every move. She ascended the decaying staircase, its wood groaning under her weight, and explored the labyrinthine corridors that seemed to stretch endlessly in every direction. The oppressive atmosphere of the manor intensified, a suffocating feeling that pressed against her chest. Suddenly, a haunting melody floated through the air, a mournful tune that seemed to emanate from the very walls of Ravenwood Manor. Lydia froze, her breath catching in her throat. The spectral music beckoned her, pulling her deeper into the heart of the manor, despite the warning bells ringing in her mind. As she followed the haunting melody, Lydia stumbled upon a forgotten chamber hidden at the far end of the hallway. The door stood slightly ajar, inviting her with an ominous allure. Pushing it open, she entered a room consumed by darkness, save for a lone candle flickering in the corner. In the dim light, Lydia's gaze fell upon an old music box resting on a dusty pedestal in the center of the room. Its ornate exterior was adorned with intricate carvings, and as the haunting melody continued to weave its melancholic symphony, the music box opened of its own accord. A chilling breeze swept through the room, extinguishing the candle's flame. Darkness enveloped Lydia as the haunting melody reached a crescendo, mingled with distant whispers that seemed to echo from beyond the veil of the unknown. In that moment, Lydia felt a presence, an otherworldly force, surrounding her, its icy fingers gripping her very soul. She tried to flee, but an invisible force held her in place, rendering her helpless against the unfolding horror. And then, piercing the oppressive silence, agonizing screams pierced the air, filling the chamber with a chorus of unbearable anguish. The haunting cries echoed through the halls of Ravenwood Manor, chilling Lydia to the core, as she found herself trapped in a nightmare from which there seemed to be no escape. The spectral screams continued to reverberate, blending with the haunting melody of the music box, intertwining in a cacophony of terror that seemed to echo through the very fabric of time itself. As the echoes of torment surrounded her, Lydia realized that she had unleashed forces beyond her understanding, a malevolent entity awakened by her curiosity, a presence that hungered for release, seeking to ensnare her within the nightmarish grip of Ravenwood Manor. And amidst the cacophony of screams and haunting melodies, Lydia's voice joined the chorus, her own terrified cries melding with the echoes of the tormented souls trapped within the cursed estate. The night had only just begun, and the horrors of Ravenwood Manor had only just revealed their chilling symphony of terror.
Part 2. The Unraveling Nightmare.
Lydia's screams seemed to meld with the haunting chorus echoing through the cursed Ravenwood Manor. The air grew thick with an oppressive malevolence, suffocating her as though unseen hands gripped her throat. Desperation clawed at her mind as she struggled to break free from the spectral forces that held her captive. She felt as though time itself had become distorted within the confines of the chamber, the boundary between reality and the supernatural blurring into a nightmarish tapestry. The haunting melody continued its mournful tune, interwoven with the agonizing cries that reverberated through the decaying walls. The music box, seemingly animated by an otherworldly presence, continued to play its eerie symphony, its lid opening and closing in an unholy rhythm. In the midst of the chaos, Lydia glimpsed fleeting apparitions, ethereal figures flickering in and out of existence. Their anguished faces bore expressions frozen in eternal torment, and their spectral forms seemed to reach out to her, beckoning her into the abyss. She struggled to utter incantations, to call upon any force that might offer salvation from the horrors engulfing her. But her voice faltered, drowned out by the cacophony of screams that seemed to permeate the very fabric of reality. The chamber's walls appeared to warp and shift, pulsating with an otherworldly energy that threatened to consume her. Shadows danced in macabre patterns, contorting into grotesque shapes that seemed to mock her futile attempts at escape. Amidst the chaos, Lydia's eyes caught a glint of something, a small, tarnished locket lying on the floor near the music box. It emanated an eerie aura, seemingly untouched by the darkness that consumed the room. Driven by a desperate instinct, Lydia reached for the locket, her fingers trembling as she clutched it tightly in her hand. The moment her fingers made contact, an intense surge of energy coursed through her, sending a jolt of both agony and revelation through her veins. Visions flooded her mind, a glimpse into the tragic history of Ravenwood Manor. She saw faces distorted by despair, heard the echoes of a dark past etched within the walls of the estate. A family torn apart by greed, betrayal, and unspeakable horrors that had cursed the very foundation of the manor. The locket, a relic from the past, held the key to the spirit's anguish. It was a vessel of remembrance, a link to the tormented souls trapped within the manor's confines, longing for release from their eternal suffering. With newfound clarity amidst the chaos, Lydia channeled her will, focusing on the locket and the tortured spirits that lingered within the cursed estate. She whispered words of solace and offered a prayer for their deliverance, hoping to ease their suffering and bring peace to the tormented souls. As her voice resonated with a haunting melody of compassion, the atmosphere within the chamber shifted. The spectral screams began to wane, gradually fading into the ethereal mist that enveloped the room. The malevolent force that had ensnared Lydia seemed to relent, its hold loosening as though acknowledging her act of compassion and empathy. The darkness receded, and the haunting apparitions gradually dissolved into wisps of light that ascended into the unknown. The music box, now still and silent, closed its lid with a finality that echoed through the chamber. The oppressive weight that had clung to the air lifted, leaving behind a sense of eerie calmness in Ravenwood Manor. Gasping for breath, Lydia collapsed to her knees, the ordeal having drained her both physically and emotionally. She clutched the locket tightly, feeling a sense of reverence for the souls that had found their elusive peace. As the first light of dawn filtered through the shattered windows, casting an ethereal glow upon the chamber, Lydia knew that she had witnessed something inexplicable, a night of horrors and revelations that would forever linger in the depths of her memory. With trembling hands, she carefully tucked the locket into her pocket, a silent promise to never forget the haunting tale of Ravenwood Manor and the restless spirits she had encountered. With a heart heavy with the weight of the supernatural encounter, Lydia made her way out of the estate, leaving behind the shadows of the night that had forever changed her perception of the world. But even as she stepped into the welcoming embrace of the morning sun, Lydia couldn't shake the haunting whispers that lingered in the recesses of her mind, the echoes of those tormented souls whose cries had now been silenced, yet whose presence she could still feel within the depths of her soul. For Ravenwood Manor held its secrets close, and the night of unexplained horrors would forever echo in the chilling whispers that seemed to follow Lydia, a constant reminder of the inexplicable events she had witnessed.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more similar horror stories.